I followed YouTuber B Scott, right? And he used to always say, hi, 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 hi. It is Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, and I have come to you guys with a story time. All right, all right. First of all, hey tribe members, welcome back. If you are not yet a member of my tribe, and welcome, welcome. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button below, and then you're a member. I'm excited to have you in part of my community. All right, I am sipping on some coffee, my go-to. I have dark roast today. I have Starbucks 2022 Christmas blend. I get a grande and a venti, oat milk to the top. That's with it, you guys. All right, all right, all right. So I was actually watching an interview with Denzel Washington this morning, and he said in the interview that what you practice, you get good at. And he was just talking about the media and being misinformed or uninformed. And I just remember how much I love this man. I do. I heart him. I heart him. I've hearted him. I've literally hearted him my entire life. I will never forget when Malcolm X came out, the movie. My mother, the day it came out, it was a Wednesday. I'll never forget. It was a Wednesday because we never missed choir practice. And I remember she took us to the 7 o'clock movie the day it came out, the autobiography of Malcolm X. And I just fell in love with him as an actor. I remember I was so inspired by the role he played, the amazing job he did, that I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. It changed my life, you guys. So my mother has been a fan of Denzel Washington. That was passed on to me. And so everything that that man is in. Did you guys know that he is 67 years old? He's almost 70 years old. Amazing. Amazing. So, like I said, since childhood, I've been a fan of Denzel Washington. And going to a movie on a Wednesday at 7:30 was like unheard of. We had never done that my entire childhood. So the autobiography of Malcolm X came out, and my mother said we need to go opening night to support it. We saw it multiple times too. I was like, okay, this is something important. So if you don't know, I moved to New York City after graduating from college. And one thing that I noticed when I moved back to New York City was that a lot of native New Yorkers had never been to a Broadway show, never been to the ballet. And the arts is something that was imparted to me from my mother, the importance of the arts. So living in New York City as a single gal, I honestly wanted to take advantage of the fact that Broadway is here, the fact that New York City Ballet is here, the fact that Alvin Ailey is here. Like, it's in our backyard, right? And I did not want to take that for granted. So what I did was I tried to at least 3, if possible 4 times a year, I would go to a show, whether it was a Broadway, whether it was off Broadway, whether it was off Broadway, whether it was the New York City Ballet. Like I mentioned before, obsessed with Alvin Ailey. And so I've seen lots of Broadway shows, In the Heights, A Raisin in the Sun. I've seen my fair share of Broadway shows because I love them. And there's something about seeing an actor or an actress that you really love and respect. There's one thing about seeing them in the movies, like on a huge movie screen, but there's something really, really special about seeing them in person, like right in front of you. And so that's another reason why I always try to see actors like Phylicia Rashad and Denzel Washington. I love seeing them in person. So 2005, it's the year 2005, and Denzel Washington is starring in Julius Caesar. And I remember hearing about it, reading about it. And I was just so shocked because you gotta think, this man, Oscar winner, Academy Award winner, gets paid millions and millions of dollars for his films. Like you know, he's an A-class actor. I think one of the best in our generation. So this man makes millions and millions of dollars in movies, making movies, but he's willing to come. I read an article back then that he was getting paid like $1,500 a week to star in Julius Caesar. So that's obvious that he really does it for the love of his craft. Like he comes and shows because he loves acting. And so literally like the day they went on sale, what I would do is I would invite friends and we'd go to a show together as a group, and then we would go out to dinner and make a whole evening of it. So I believe there were 8 of us. There were 8 of us that went, some friends from my church and some other friends from my gym. I was an avid gym goer, New York Sports Club. So there were 8 of us that had for Julius Caesar. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this to you guys, but I actually started taking Latin in the 8th grade. Choices in my school were French, Spanish, German, and Latin. Those were the 4, I believe. And I remember I tell people I was pre-med my entire life. So my plan was to go to medical school since a child. So when we were able to choose the language of our choice, I chose Latin because in my mind, I said, you know what? 80% of the English language derives from Latin roots. So let me go ahead and give myself a leg up and take Latin, and that's going to help me prepare for medical school. So I have been taking Latin since the 8th grade. I took it all the way through high school. I took it every semester in college, you guys. I took Latin. I love it. I love the language. It's such a beautiful language. So Julius Caesar is a book that I read in Latin, also in English. So I was very, very familiar with it. So when I heard that, sorry, moisturizing my lips, I've done a review of this. Please check it out. One of my holy grails. So when I read that Julius Caesar was coming to Broadway, starring my favorite actor of all time, we had to go. So I got tickets for the 8 of us. We made a whole evening of it. Went to the show. Show was amazing. I mean, this man, he just gets better and better with age. The man is almost 70 years old. Like, that blows my mind. So my friends and I go see Julius Caesar, and it was amazing. He got multiple standing ovations. And after the show is over, we leave the theater. A couple of my friends had to go to the restroom, so they stayed back to go to the restroom before we headed to dinner. I'm not gonna say, I'm gonna call her Jay. I'll call her Jay because I don't want to give her away in the story. So my friend Jay and I go to the side of the theater because there were just people just filing out the front, right? It was sold out show, packed house. They're filing out the front. So we go to the side of the theater to wait for our friends that were using the restroom. Please tell me why. We're staying there like 3 or 4 minutes just chatting. I see Denzel Washington leaving the side door of the theater. Remember, I have been a fan of his since I was a child, since the autobiography of Malcolm X came out in the movie theaters. I mean, a fan of his almost my whole life, right? He's coming out the side of the theater, and it's just me and my friend waiting here. I will never forget. He had on a pair of like jeans. He had on like a white t-shirt, and he had on a Yankees fitted cap. Because he's from, I'm not sure if you know, he's from New York. He's from Mount Vernon. And there's a limo waiting, right? So back when like limos were cool. So a limo is waiting on the street in front of the side of the theater, and he's coming out straight to the limo. Oh my God. My heart dropped into my stomach. I was like, Denzel. friend took off. Like, she was like not playing around. She race walked. Why does my friend start crying? She starts weeping. And he's got a bodyguard next to him. The kindest man ever. Like, he stops. Looks. And he starts to smile. And my friend Jay, she's like, Denzel. She says, I love you. My mama loves you. My auntie loves, all my cousins love you. And she continues to cry. And she can't talk anymore. And I'm just standing there, guys. I'm just standing there like in awe of this God's creation, the best actor of our generation, right? And I'm standing there, and my friend Jay is like talking, telling Mr. Washington how everyone in her family loves him. And I'm thinking, like, what should I say? Like, what should I say? What should I say? So I have the program, and he autographs it for me. I'm like, Tanae's like, this is your chance. This is your chance. You gotta say something. This man you've been a fan of all your life is literally a foot in front of you. Like, you have to say something. Tribe, why did I say, Denzel, King Kong ain't got ish on you? Training day. That's what I say to him. That's the only thing that came into my head. That's the only thing. King Kong ain't got ish on you. How embarrassing is that? You were amazing. What a great performance. I'm gonna come back. Not that. I've been a lifelong fan of you. I respect your craft. You are brilliant. Nope. Ain't got ish on you. That's what I said. That's what I said to him. Yeah. Hashtag embarrassing. But this man was so gracious and so kind and kind of like, like he gave me like a little nod, and he looked a little bit scared. He did. He was like, who is this fan? Like, ooh. Of all the things I could have said in the moment that I met my favorite actor, I told him a line, his line from his movie Training Day. That's what I did. I gave him a quote of his. And so I was sitting here thinking, I was watching this video of his, I think it was on TikTok. Well, someone had cut a video of his where he's talking about uninformed, if you don't read the news, but if you do read the news, being misinformed, because you know it has all changed. People just want to get their story out first, whether or not it's factual. And he's just brilliant. Like, he's a brilliant actor. He's a brilliant man, period. And I have so much respect for him. And I've been a fan of his all my life, passed on from my mother. And in that moment, guys, on Broadway, I just happened, my friend and I were the only two people there, you guys. Happened to be the side door when he comes out after performing for the last 2.5 hours, after having multiple standing ovations. My friend is weeping, tears streaming, snot streaming. She can't even talk at this point. And I tell the Denzel Washington that King Kong ain't got on him. And that's all I could say. That's all I could say. Had no other words. So yeah, note to self. When you may run it, but that's the thing about New York. Like, you really have no idea who you're gonna run into. I mean, I have many stories. If you want to hear another celebrity sighting, impromptu meet and greet, please leave it in the comments below. Absolutely, I have stories for days, you guys. Living in New York City, literally I moved to New York City July 1st of 2001. So I guess this coming July will be 22 years I've been here. Time flies. At that point, I had been in the city for 4 years. And he was actually my very first celebrity encounter in person. I mean, I'd seen celebrities in shows and in concerts, but actually like being right in front of him, talking to him, that was my very first experience. And he's such a gracious man. I'm sure he was like, why is she giving me my quote of mine from one of my movies? But he was so gracious. He autographed my playbill, and I'll just never forget that moment, you guys. I was just so overwhelmed and overcome by his, like, he's so dignified, you guys. Like, his he has presence. Like, you know what it is? He is the spirit of excellence. Like, that's what he is. He is the spirit of excellence. And so when he walked out the side door, like, even though he had on like a fitted baseball cap, a white t-shirt, jeans, like, he was regal. That's what it was. He was regal. Like, he was regal in person. And so what a cherry on the top, like, to go to a Broadway show of a play that I read in Latin in college, starring my favorite actor of all times, and then a chance meeting after the show. I really wish I had something better to have said to him. I really do. Something more poignant, something more articulate, but again, that's literally the only thought that came to my head. Or the only words for me to say was, King Kong ain't got ish on you, Denzel. All right, tribe. I hope you enjoyed this story time. And like I said, if you want to hear more celebrity sightings, I've met Idris Elba, Venus Williams. Guys, I could go on. Please leave it in the comments below, and I'd love to share those stories with you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to seeing you in my next. Shout out to Mr. Washington. Bye, tribe.